Hello, everyone. Welcome. Super excited that we're actually organizing this Programming for Everyone meetup. My name is Taylor, and I am one of the organizers. I'm also joined with Michael Doise. He is another one of the organizers, and actually, we are both a boyfriend and girlfriend. So, Michael and I are going to be running this thing together, and I'm super excited. It's going to be a great night. We're just going to kind of get started with some logistics. As Michael had mentioned not too long ago, we are going to be using Zoom's features such as raising hands. So if you would like to, when you are asked in terms of introductions, if you guys want to introduce yourselves, you guys can go ahead and hit the raise hand feature and you will be acknowledged by either Michael or myself. So we are going to be using the Zoom features, that way we can keep things organized and that way it can be a great experience for everyone. So I'm super excited about that. And yeah, so welcome to Programming for Everyone, folks. So I want to just introduce ourselves real quick. Like I said, my name is Taylor Arndt. I just moved to Austin about 3 months ago, almost 3 months ago. And Michael and I, like I said, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And we are both programmers. So I am a accessibility engineer by day because I am blind as well. So both of us are legally blind. And I do accessibility auditing and compliance via day job and have the programming on the side for our side business called Techopolis, which is something that Michael and myself run. Michael, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Michael Doise. I've been legally blind since birth. I have been a programmer since I was about age 10, and I have loved anything related to code ever
Yep.
since. Anything technology related, I love to mess with. I've built computers, things like that. I moved to Austin when I turned 18, and I've loved it. I moved here in 2002, and have been here ever since. It's going to be 20 years now, which is crazy.
That's nuts.
Um, and Austin is a great place to gather and to meet other programmers and people that are interested in technology. I'm also a huge fan of Apple. Hope that doesn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
everybody to just leave.
I know, I hope not either. We're both Apple fans. We've got, let's see, how much Apple stuff do we have in our apartment, Michael? We've got two Macs, two iPads, two Apple TVs. What else?
Hmm.
Anything I'm missing?
iPhones.
iPhones, AirPods, Michael's AirPods Max. We got like two, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
needless to say, programming is um, my one of my favorite things to do. I've done iOS development since 2012, and I am actually now a iOS developer. Well, iOS and Android developer as a day job. I have been working to do. I used to work for the state of Texas, and I used to help train other people who are blind to use technology. And now I get to build an app for my day job, and so it is a fantastic thing being able to do that for a living. And we wanted to create this meetup so that we can meet other programmers and help people that want to get started into doing that, and also just kind of spread awareness about accessibility and helping people to make better programs, and just to generally have discussions about um, uh, programming.
Programming.
So
Yep.
that's why we're here. So, yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we are super excited. I actually created this meetup, believe it or not, like at 4 in the morning one day. We got up, we couldn't sleep, and Michael and I were like, let's go ahead and create a meetup. I want to meet some more programmers. And Michael and I agreed, and so I went on Meetup and I created this meetup at 4 in the morning. And I didn't know how big it would get, but man, we've got a lot of members already. So thank y'all for joining. And it's really awesome that you guys are interested in this Programming for Everyone meetup. I'm super excited about this. It's going to be really great. And yeah, so, all right. That's a little bit about ourselves. Now it's y'all's turn to introduce yourselves. So this is optional. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves, please hit the raise hand button, and that way you can be acknowledged by Michael or I, and you can take the floor to introduce yourselves. Be sure to also mention how you got started with programming and what you do if you program on the side or professionally. Just kind of tell us your programming story. So let's see. I'm going to admit someone else to the waiting room or to the meeting, but folks, if you have any or you want to introduce yourself, feel free to raise your hand and we will invite you up and you can go ahead and talk about yourself. All right, Michael, do we have any hands?
Looking, hang on just a moment. It's one thing I've never done was work with raised hands on the computer, so I'm just kind of learning the interface. So if you find one before I do,
Yeah, I don't see any raised hands, but I just want to make sure we're getting everything together. Let's see. Sorry, folks, we're just having a little bit of a technical difficulties there.
But we're very glad that all of you guys have joined us today.
Yeah.
And,
can you figure it out, Michael?
And folks, if you want to use the chat as well, that is totally fine as well. I did see we had a chat message, so
okay.
I wanted to point that out there.
Yep. So either chat or raise hand. Like I said, if you raise your hand, we'll invite you to come up. We just don't want to have a million people talking at once. That'd be very annoying. So, do we have any hands, Michael?
I'm not seeing any, but if you do,
and we've got one.
Something. Okay, excellent.
Let's see.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
Meetup.
Thank you. So my name is Carolina, and I just started with this programming. In this programming world, it's been a little bit overwhelming because I just want to start programming, right away. But it's nice to be learning a little bit about it. I don't know, on the internet, just wherever I can, I start studying on my own. So thank you so much for this class, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. It's always great to try to help new programmers get started. I know that I got started when I was 14 with C#. And, like I said, it's really a building block. And then you kind of build from there. But it's all about trying to get started. And that's where we want to try to help you guys because we've kind of, in a sense, helped ourselves. And we've networked with other people and we want to kind of pass that along. So I'm super excited that you're here and that hopefully you can learn a lot. Okay, I see we've got another hand up.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I work for a tech company, and I'm learning to code on my own in Python, and just was hoping to get some advice on programming, or just just hear some best practices from other programmers.
Awesome.
Cool. What are you doing with Python?
I'm just trying to learn how to code. I'm taking a Udemy course just on my own and just studying every night. So I'm not doing anything. It won't benefit my career necessarily, but it's something I want to say that I can do.
Well, that's really cool. I know Python was my first language, and I still use Python to the same fact. I just did like a whole bunch of Python live streams last weekend on our YouTube channel, which is super awesome. We go live a lot. It's called Techopolis. Michael, if you want to throw a link to that in the chat. And we've got a lot of cool things. So we do a lot of Python and tech content. But yeah, it's really awesome. And I'm super excited that you're here. I hope that we can help you to learn and to, also network with other programmers as well.
Well, and beyond that, we hope that, you guys can teach us something because that's what it's all about.
Of course. So. Yes. It's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Anybody else want to do an introduction?
Yep. All right, we got another one.
All right.
Hi, my name is Karen, and I'm currently a teacher. I'm teaching first grade, but all of this, like programming and technology, has been catching my attention. So I'm like a newly, like, I don't know a bit of things. So I'm just like trying to get into courses or see if this is going to, I'm going to be like the perfect fit for it. Like, I'm like looking forward to see what I learn and to learn more and new things.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Anyone else? And again, obviously, we might have more time later on. If people come in late, we will probably have time after we get through the rest of our agenda and our main topic for the night.
Just to remind folks, we are recording to put on YouTube for if people miss the meetup. So if there's something you need us to omit or whatever, just let us know. We can do that. We want it to be an open environment for people to talk. One thing, we just ask that we keep the discussions to tech related things, keep, away from current events, all the common sense stuff. But, we always have to say those things.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, all right.
Oh, people are just lowering hands. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. Last call. Like I said, if not, I'm going to go ahead and flip the agenda. Let's see here. Okay. All right. I don't see any more hands up. Oh, that was not a good sound from my Mac. My speaker decided to make a very bad beeping sound.
Zoom does that on.
Oh, it was Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Okay. Well, either way, it wasn't good in the first place. I don't care where it came from. So, it was a loud pop. Anyways, about this meetup. So let's move on to that agenda item. Earlier, I had mentioned that we are going to be having meetups hopefully every week. And when I was in Michigan, I actually belonged to another group kind of like this, but it was on a college campus. And it's kind of a cool thing, kind of in a sense replicate that, kind of where a bunch of us programmers or tech people kind of get together and just talk about coding. And we want to try to make this a weekly thing. And we're going to have different topics come up as well. So we'll be presenting on different things. And even, wouldn't you say, Michael, if people even wanted to present things, they could even as well. So it's going to be kind of an open environment to talk shop, talk tech, programming, that kind of thing. And yes, we want to try to have these every week, every Thursday at 7 Central. Now, if we do some in person, which we want to do in the future, we may end up going to 6. That way it wouldn't be so late. What would you think, Michael?
Yeah.
Depends. Yeah. So, but anyways, on the Zoom one, like I said, 7 is good. And we'll try to have it around 2 hours. Seems like a good length. But this is our first one, so, we'll just kind of see how it goes. So, programming for everyone. Try to have it on a weekly basis on Thursdays, and we'll have different programming topics. So it'll be pretty awesome there. The intent of the meetup is for people to be able to network with programmers, to meet new people, and honestly have fun. We want to make this a very fun environment. We do this because we have fun with it. And this is something that Michael and I have fun with because we are, in a sense, like a developer couple, right? We're both software engineers, Sometimes we make references to coding in just different random ways. We're programmers and we want to have fun. And we want to have a great environment where we can talk programming and we can get to know people and everyone can kind of learn from each other. And you can also teach us and we can teach you things. So that's kind of the intent of the meetup. And that's our goals and objectives as well.
One thing I want to add to that is programming is, a lot of people find programming to be very daunting.
Yes.
And so we try to add humor and we try to add a lot of easy ways to get into programming without it being so intimidating.
Yep.
And we'll share resources to different websites and YouTube channels and Twitter accounts to other programmers that do the same thing. And there's one resource I'll share now. If people have Twitter and they like, humor, there is a Twitter account person that goes by the name Carla, Carla, not a robot, and that's her whole Twitter account. And she does these programming humor jokes on Twitter.
Yep.
And so it's kind of neat because you learn, it's like if you're new to programming, you might go, what's Git? I don't know what Git is, or what does she mean by this JavaScript thing? And then you go look it up. It's like, oh, okay, that joke makes sense now. And so it inspires learning through humor. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the best ways to really get into programming and get that working. So, that's our goal, is to talk programming and to be humorous about it. So that's why, we look for people that want to learn. And it's not, we do this not because it's a class, but to get people together that want to get into the field, because they always say there's too few programmers out there. And, yes. We always can use more programmers in the world, and people need to learn to code. So yeah, that's our thoughts on that. And that's why we're having the meetup.
Yep, it's going to be very informal, very casual, fun. Like I said, it's not going to be like a lecture format, really. It's going to be very interactive as well. So there's going to be a lot of people you can ask questions, and you can talk about different things. And it's meant to be an interactive, fun place where people can talk programming. So that's kind of our intent and goals and about the meetup. In addition to all of the meetup stuff, we also have a Discord server called Programming for Everyone. So if you've mentioned that you guys are learning programming, or maybe you guys want to talk about something, maybe when we're off the meetup, and maybe you just had this idea like, I don't know about this, or I want to see what other people have to think. Well, if you have Discord, you can go ahead and join our Discord server. I think we've got like 50 people in there already, Michael, right?
There's quite a few, and there's some advanced programmers in that server as well.
Yep, and I'm on there, so is Michael, and it's going to be honestly a great place to be able to talk programming. We've got different channels for each of the different languages, and we've got all these different things where you can even talk programming. We even have some voice channels where maybe you want to go talk with some people about different programming things. So if you would like that, we're going to go ahead and post a link in the chat, Michael, if you can, or either way, we could do that in a little bit. But definitely the Discord server is awesome. So if you've never used Discord before, it's like a voice and video chatting app in a sense. You can join these servers or communities where you can be able to interact with others and send messages and also join voice channels. Michael and I use it all the time. We're on different Discord servers. We've got many of them ourselves. So yeah, we like Discord. Again, it's not like a work thing. That's why we're going to use Discord. So it's kind of more fun in a sense, not like a actual work thing. Like a lot of meetups use Slack, but I think Discord, will definitely serve our purpose, especially because we're going to try to have it more of a fun, casual meetup. So that is about our Discord server. It's Programming for Everyone. We will go ahead and put the link in there. And what we'll probably do is after the meetup as well, we'll go ahead and post the resources in the meetup thread as well, so you guys can have multiple places where to find them. So, okay, that is the Discord. Michael, do you have anything to add about the Discord server? Apparently,
nope. I'm working on getting a link to share to the
thank you
through the chat. So,
yep. Okay. Yep, and just be sure when you join the Discord to introduce yourself. That way we'll let you into the server. That way we can prevent spam bots. A lot of these Discord servers use these CAPTCHAs or these things that are not accessible. And so to make sure that we can include all users, we do where you just type in a message and we'll let you in manually. That way we don't have to deal with any inaccessible Discord bots to try to have moderation. So that's just a note there. Because again, we want to include all programmers. So that is how that will work. In-person meetups in the future. So we've mentioned that eventually it'd be really great to have a in-person coding meetup. Now, obviously these online ones are great as well, but it's also great to try to get out of the house and kind of expand your horizons and just go to a place and talk shop. So I think Michael thought maybe eventually we would do one at the UT Union, right, Michael? Is that what you were thinking?
That's a good meeting space, but if our members have better ideas or meeting spaces and things like that, we'd love to get those recommendations.
We'd be open.
Say again?
We'd be open for ideas. Sorry.
Yep. And I just shared the link to our Discord in the chat.
Okay. So, that is how the meetups in terms of the in-person, like I said, I'm not sure when we'll have our first one of those, but we definitely want to do that sooner than later because that'll be really cool to just get everyone in person and talk and programming, and who knows what we'll do after that. So, yeah, pretty great about that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the businessy stuff before we get into the fun stuff? Any thoughts?
I say welcome to our Discord of a new member. So
awesome. We've got a new member? Apparently my Discord's not sending me notifications. Well, welcome, folks, to our Discord. Yep. Awesome.
Yep. Excellent.
All right. If you have questions, feel free. Just make sure if anyone's not clear on something, go ahead and raise your hand. If not, we're going to go ahead and move into Programming 101. Which is our main topic for the night. So,
I do see that iPhone, you've had your hand up for a while. I didn't know if you spoke earlier during introductions or not. So I just wanted to see if you had something you wanted to say, or was it okay?
What happened? Oh, she lowered it. Okay.
They lowered their hand. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have voiceover on at the moment because I have my Windows side I'm looking at Notion. So, yeah. Well, all right, Michael, are we ready to do this thing?
Let's talk about it. So, we talked about, our topic today is Programming 101. And that's more to say, it's if people want to learn to code, but it's also to talk about programming and get people's questions answered if they have them.
Yes.
And also to see what interests you guys about programming, and to just have a general forum for discussion.
Yep.
And just as a reminder, for me, my specialties, if I could talk today,
that would be helpful. I can't either, so that's fine, Michael.
have been iOS and Mac programming. I've done Android and Python. I've played around with a long time ago TCL/TK. I've done some websites, WordPress. I've done a lot with a lot of different things. And if you want to go ahead and remind folks of what you've done, Taylor.
Yeah, so I have done a lot of Python. Python was my first language. I learned that actually back in Michigan when I took my computer science class. I went to Western Michigan University, and I took some Python classes, and then I've also done some iOS development, Mac OS stuff with Michael, and WordPress, again, JavaScript, web stuff, you name it. Not everything, but and C#, that was my first language. Can't forget about that. But I haven't really done that in years, so, my knowledge is probably a little bit rusty. But that is a little bit about my specialties. And so this is kind of more of a informal discussion forum. So if people have questions, they can go ahead and raise their hand, and we'll kind of answer the questions, and we'll just have a great conversation.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and switch screens. That way I don't have to see this agenda. There we go. Okay. All right. Don't think we have any hands up at the moment.
Also, we do use Notion, and
we do.
What we might look at doing is sharing, if people would like to be part of the Meetup's main page, we can get that going. And if people would like us to share that out to the Meetup, we can do that as well.
Yep. And if you guys, do you want to explain what Notion is, Michael? Since you were the one that introduced it to me.
If people don't know what Notion is a they call them a second brain kind of app. They let you store notes, and you can put to-do lists, boards, project planning, and even databases. So it's pretty cool. application. You could use it for personal use for free. We have a collaborative plan using Teams, $10 per user per month. So it's pretty nice. So yeah.
Yep. And I also use it for work as well. So it's really great. Now, here's the thing, it's not fully accessible. So I know it's, not fully accessible for everyone, but it is usable. So it's not fully accessible, but it is usable. So
Yep.
It's great.
All right. So would anybody like to, if you guys have any questions, raise your hand, and just now that I have a full understanding of how this hand raise thing works visually.
Yep. And maybe you're stuck on something, or maybe you want advice. Any of those things are welcome. I know, we've got a lot of beginners, which I'm glad we did this topic tonight, because I wasn't sure who we were going to get. So I'm glad that we got this topic pulled out, because, again, I was like, who are we going to get?
While we're talking, feel free to raise your hand if you want to, bring up something.
Yep.
I'll tell you one resource that I've used to kind of get the ball rolling here is a resource called LinkedIn Learning. And it is $40 a month, but you get exercise files, you get a lot of resources, and it's small bite-sized videos that teach you how to do different things. And they have programming videos or courses for pretty much anything. The neat thing is too, once you finish one of their courses and take the tests, the skill goes on your LinkedIn profile. So it shows the world that you've taken these classes and that you've gone through the work. I'm working on a Python essential training course on there right now, and they have courses on iOS development, and not just standard iOS or Python development. They go into data science, they go into machine learning, they go into all these different areas that you may not expect them to have courses on. And you get the entire library for $40 a month, thousands of courses. They have courses on personal development, career development, and programming, planning, a lot of different areas, even how to use your operating systems for Mac and Windows. So it's a quite useful resource. It is $40 a month, so it's not cheap, but for what you get, you also get LinkedIn Premium. So
I think the Austin Library does have it though, Michael. Linda or LinkedIn. I think you can get it through there. I'm not sure because again, I've only been in Austin for 3 months, so but I do remember reading online somewhere that you could. So you might want to check into that maybe if you want to get it through the library, because that wouldn't really cost you anything. And most libraries do have it. So if you happen to not be from Austin, most libraries do have the ability to get that service. So it's really great. The only caveat to that is some of the instructors are not the greatest, but obviously you're going to find that with anything. And so it's kind of trying to find those good courses that will teach you that are high quality.
Well, and it also depends on how you learn.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is that for a lot of us who are blind or low vision, they have instructors that teach with certain tools that may not be the most accessible, or they may just say, click here, go there. That's not very descriptive. And so that's what Taylor's talking about. But
I'm talking about in general too, Michael.
But if you can see typically where they're going to on the screen and doing things like that, you're going to be pretty well off with most of them. Certain tools are more effective that they teach than others. So it's just, do they fit your learning style? And that's always an important aspect as well. Yeah.
So any other questions about that? I'm going to go into some resources that I use to get up and running. But I just want to make sure that, do we have any hands up, Michael?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. So resources that I've used, when I first got started, I used something called Free Code Camp. It's pretty good. Obviously, we found a lot of stuff that's a little bit better than that. But if you want to get your HTML and CSS and JavaScript and that kind of thing, Free Code Camp's really great because you can just go online and complete these coding challenges, which are interactive. And I would do those all the time. When I was in Michigan, when I was even living with my parents, I do those all the time, and I learn a lot, and that's how I learn my HTML and CSS stuff. I learned it through Free Code Camp. So Free Code Camp really got me started. I found it on this channel called, I don't even know what it was, but I found it one night, and I'm like, is this accessible? So I go try it out, and I just learned a whole bunch of stuff. So Free Code Camp's great if you want to get started. Again, there are some better resources out there, but it's a great free tool. You also can't discount YouTube. There's plenty of YouTube channels that will get you started. In terms of programming, one of my favorites is Traversy Media. He's really great. He's really descriptive in what he does, and he teaches a whole bunch of different things. Python, JavaScript, pretty much you name it. There's another one if you're interested in iOS development called Hacking with Swift. And this is one of our favorite channels. Michael and I really love it. His name is Paul Hudson.
I believe it
And
goes by Two Straws on
Two Straws?
YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah, I guess Two Straws is his Twitter username. But it does say Paul Hudson, I guess, on his name and Twitter. But yeah, Two Straws. So that one you'll really want to check out. He has a whole thing called Hacking with Swift. I think that's what that's called, right, Michael?
Yes. He has a lot of different videos. He goes into Swift UI and things like that. He's actually met with the Swift development team, and pretty much when WWDC comes around, he's pretty well
He's
known.
there on the ground. Yep.
Doing
stuff.
Videos or he does live streams on YouTube when the Swift team announces the new features, and he shows example code, which is really cool.
Yeah. So he's great. If you're interested in Python, one of my favorite channels lately is called Tech with Tim. He's really great. I found him. He does more than Python, but he really got to start in Python. He is doing a whole bunch of tutorials, and he is also really descriptive. So Tech with Tim is another place that I go if I want to learn some Python. Along those lines, Corey Schaefer, however you pronounce his last name, he's another great resource. I've learned a lot from him as well. And let's see. Free Code Camp's YouTube channel is great as well because they've got long different video courses on different topics. Now, this one is a little bit different because it's not just one creator, it's many creators. And so sometimes the courses may not be as good, for example, as others because it's inconsistent because they've got different people contributing. But they've got, I don't even know, like 2 or 3 million subscribers on YouTube. And they've got courses on pretty much everything. They just uploaded a 36-hour course on, I think, Flutter, which is like a cross-platform app development framework. So they upload a lot of different courses. In terms of, let's see, who am I missing? If you want like general developer advice and that kind of thing, there's one called Dorian Develops. I don't know how I found this one, but I really like his videos. He just talks about different developer topics. He has a really great story. I'm not even going to try to go into it, but it's really cool. So I really like Dorian Develops as well. And yeah, Dorian Develops is great. Tech with Tim, let's see. There's like a ton of these. And actually, if you go to Techopolis, you can actually see which channels we subscribe to because we make it public. So you guys can kind of subscribe to our same channels.
Another good one is called Fireship.
Oh, why did I forget about that? Oh my God. Fireship. Oh my, he's great. Can't forget about that. I don't know how that slipped my mind, Michael.
The Fireship channel, he does a lot of different videos on how to get started with JavaScript and Node.js. The other thing about Fireship is he has a website, fireship.io. And what he does on his website is he talks about several different things related to JavaScript, and he does Flutter and a lot of cross-platform app development. Not as much into Python, but he does React Native, and does a lot of different. He shows how to build web apps, use CSS, and different things like that. So he's very web application focused. But I would highly recommend his videos on YouTube, and we've been tossing around the idea of getting a Fireship Pro account. I'm not sure what the pricing is. But again, we're just rattling off things that resources we know. We would love, though, to, if you guys have any questions about anything you're specifically trying to do in programming, whether it be Python or JavaScript or C.
You know that, Michael? I don't know a
Assembly
lot about it.
questions, we don't have the most knowledge in that,
Nope.
but we could probably get an answer. So raise your hand or unmute and just chime
Got a
in
hand
at this
up.
point. Yep. We got a hand raised. All right.
Yes.
Hi, maybe you mentioned it already, but because I am like trying to catch, but what would you recommend me like to start, like to see if I do like the programming world and things like which videos could I see or which program could I like start to work in, just like to have like a small overview maybe of programming?
I guess my biggest question to that is there anything in particular you would like to do, a problem you would like to solve?
Oh my God. Like I told you, I like, believe me, I don't know a bit about programming. So I don't know
Mhm.
like the concept. I don't know. Like I've just been like watching videos and things like here and there, but I would like to learn a little more, like to learn what indeed it's like programming
Mhm.
and to have like that catch. I don't know if I'm like explaining.
No, it makes sense because one of the things with programming is, the biggest aspect of programming is you write a program to solve a problem that you're having. So, I've had family members and people that have been into programming, and always ask them, how do I do this? How do I do that? And they tell me, oh, go look up this. They don't tell me the answer. They tell me to go look it up, because if you get something, you figure out something, and you say, okay, I want to solve this problem. How do I do that? And you find the resources, then that works. But if you're wanting an easy language to learn and that looks visually appealing, Python is always fun.
Yep. Python would
Um,
be a good start.
and it's very easy to learn. It's very visually focused. So that's a plus. Um, and you can write Python to do a lot of different things. You can make it into websites and all kinds of stuff. But it's just you know look at some of the YouTube channels we've talked about, see how people have used Python or other languages and see what they've done with it. And that's a kind of a good way to help you make a decision on what you're trying to do. And then LinkedIn Learning, I think, has a trial as well.
Yes,
um,
it's 30 days.
So I would try out the trial of that as well, because then you can kind of look up and see what's popular, see what people are really doing. And that's kind of a plus on that, because you see what programming um, areas are popular and where people are applying a lot of their efforts. I see we have another hand up.
Yep. And another thing too,
Hi.
Michael.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Hello.
No, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say another thing about the last question is even go try your hand at some free code camp, right? Maybe try some basic HTML if you want to do websites. Just go try interactive things in the browser. Just get yourself started. But what I would say is use a lot of these low cost resources until like don't just go invest in something really big if you don't know you like programming. I want you to start small, right? So LinkedIn Learning, maybe try free code camp, obviously YouTube. So those are some things that you can kind of check. But if you want to go interactive and you want to try things in the browser, you could just spin up some free code camp and just, see kind of how things work.
This is Katie again. This might be a weirdly constructed question, but I was watching a YouTube video of a college professor teaching Python, and he said that in the beginning, like my mind goes to like I want to understand exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, and he said in the beginning that maybe you should approach it as though just learn and don't necessarily try to grasp exactly why you're doing everything that you're doing. Just learn how to actually do the basic coding, like learn how to use strings and variables, and then that knowledge will come in time. Do you agree with that?
I personally, it's when you're learning a new language, that's the right approach. Just learn it. But the biggest thing is that I tell people is come up with a problem that you're trying to solve. Like, how can you automate your life? How can you take some code and apply it into a way that will solve a problem. Because, for example, how do I take my finances and come up with a budget and figure out if I'm over budget or under budget? That's an example, and just figure out how to write the code to do that. How do I take all these names and sort them, or just random things that you want to do. Or in my case, I'm one of my first apps I wrote for iOS was, there is not an app to teach people how to read Braille on the iPhone. So I created one. And I had not built any apps before. So it's find a problem that you need to find a solution for, and then figure out the best way to program that solution, and then learn a language. Because you could go, you don't want to learn Python to write an iOS app. You don't want to learn you don't want to learn Swift to build a Windows application. You don't want to use JavaScript to well, these days you can use JavaScript for about anything.
I was gonna say, Michael, you're gonna trap yourself into a hole.
Yeah. So that's my point, is there's always better things for the task you're trying to solve. So look for something that looks interesting. And there are a lot of there's always the Hello World application, but there's always programming challenges that you could get from these websites, and small little games, or tic-tac-toe, or anything like that are good programming exercises to get started. And then you increase your knowledge from there, and then you start solving those problems. So it just depends on your learning style. Like me, I like to come up with something that I want to get done, and then I go look up how to do it.
Yeah, or even guess the number game. We just did a stream about that this weekend on Techopolis, with Python. So, how to make it so that when the user guesses the right or wrong number, it'll play sounds. And then also, if they get it wrong 3 times, they will exit the app because they only have 3 guesses. So those kind of things. So it's all about what you want to do and what kind of problem you want to solve. Michael, are you still there?
Yeah, and I was going to, I felt like it would be kind of good if you guys would like, we can go into some of what each language offers. And
okay.
For example, like Python offers very readable code.
Yep.
Python is what's called an interpreted language, which means you write it and it just interprets your lines of code as it's being ran. It doesn't have to be compiled into what's called machine code, so it's very easy to get started with. It's not a lot of overhead, and it can be used to write, websites, servers. You can, build pretty much anything with it.
Automation scripts.
Very popular for data sciences and machine learning.
Yep.
But it's very easy to write and understand. JavaScript is what has been running in browsers since the 90s to make websites more dynamic and less, static. But now they have what's called Node.js, which allows you to write JavaScript on the back end. So your websites can use JavaScript to, for displaying information and for storing it and sending information back. So JavaScript's become very popular with Node.js lately. Of course, Apple uses Swift. Well, let me go back to this. JavaScript uses what's called a C-style language, so it uses a lot of braces and punctuation marks. So that does take a little while to learn, whereas Python doesn't. Apple uses Swift for all of its languages. Swift is very much a language where it's easier to write. You do use some of the punctuation that you use with JavaScript, but it's not as
verbose.
Yeah. And they used a previous language called Objective-C, which I just don't recommend anybody learn unless you have to.
Nope.
And then there's languages like C++ and C, which are very, more low level. You have to learn a lot more syntax, a lot more keywords, and punctuation to get that to work. But it can be used for building games. It's very useful for building games and things like that, because it's fast. It doesn't take a lot for it to run that code. And there's like Taylor was talking about C#, which Microsoft uses.
Yep.
C#.
.NET.
Yep. C# and Java are very similar. They're kind of supposed to be similar to each other. And they use a lot of classes. Everything's this dot, this dot, this dot, this. And it's like, okay. And you have to import all these libraries.
Oh, yeah.
There are programs that will help you do that, but it's still a pain to remember. So another website that we didn't mention is called Codecademy.
Yes.
And they have courses as well on C# and different things. They have a lot of free courses as well, and they have a pro plan as well. And then, so Java is what you use for Android development. Java or Kotlin, and that Kotlin's kind of the Swift-esque language from Google. Google also has a new way of building apps called Flutter, and it uses a programming language called Dart. So you kind of have to learn that as well. So it's all about what you're trying to do. I haven't played around with Dart yet, but
I have a little bit, but yeah, there's a 36-hour course on Free Code Camp that got uploaded today, Michael.
Which
is very
so really cool stuff. And you can really do all of your development on both a Windows computer or a Mac. So it really doesn't matter what computer system you're on. I'm a Mac person myself. I love Apple computers. So it just depends on what your style is. Of course, if you're building apps for iOS and Mac OS, you will at one point need a Mac.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm a Mac user as well myself.
A lot of developers use Macs because their Macs are based off the Unix operating system type, which is similar to Linux and a lot of other server-based technologies. So it is close to a lot of the open source world out there that is used on web servers and things like that. Now, one thing is I don't want to discount, learning HTML is very useful as well.
Yes. Yep.
If that's what you want to do and a way to get started, that's really useful as well. There's also a podcast. And this might be very useful if you've never been into programming. A friend of mine does a podcast. It's called Programming by Stealth. And the person's name is Allison Sheridan, and she does a class with a guy named Bart Buschatz. And I think they're on like episode 160 something. They've been doing it for years, every week. And they've done HTML pages, JavaScript, all kinds of stuff. And they walk through writing programs in such a way that you don't really realize you're programming. And so that might be a good way of getting started. It's called Programming by Stealth.
Yeah, and that's a really great way. I've listened to some of it as well myself, and it's really a great way. We've got another person in the waiting room. There we go. But yeah, Programming by Stealth is definitely great.
So I believe somebody just joined us. We're, if you want to introduce yourself or talk about or have any questions about programming, feel free.
I'm Victor. Sorry that I'm very late.
No problem.
No problem.
I've been programming for quite a while, but I'm interested in programming education, I program in sort of a niche of scientific computing. I'm on the UT campus, but I'm interested in what other kinds of programming people are interested in, if I can contribute. So
Cool.
I want to see what interests people have, and if I can contribute something.
Well, excellent. And just to let you know, we have a programming Discord that we it's in the chat if you'd like to join that. And we have a bunch of programmers in there, and it's all part of the meetup here as well.
You'll need to repost that. The chat is empty for me.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hang on just one moment.
And it will be also available, and don't worry if you're late, because we are recording this, and it will be available on the YouTube channel as well. So
Cool.
But yeah, that's really awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I know that you sent me a message earlier in the week. And yeah, I'm super happy that you're here, and yeah, I look forward to what we can learn from each other.
So what if you don't mind me asking, what language do you work in for your for what you do with programming?
So my preferred languages are C++ and Python these days. So C++ if I need performance, and Python for just a glue for hacking everything together. And
Gotcha.
if you are in science, then Fortran is actually hard to avoid.
I've never learned Fortran. It's
just about the oldest language, and it keeps being improved all the time. So a lot of people think about the old Fortran 66 and 77, but in Fortran 90 it got more modern, and then the most recent standards, Fortran 2008, it's a real object-oriented language. It's actually quite elegant.
Wow.
Folks, we have a small group here, so if you guys would like to just unmute, and if you just have questions, feel free. We are kind of doing the hand raise system for if we had 20 or 30 people join. So
yeah, and one more thing I'll say about the Fortran thing is I used to live in Michigan, and apparently our state's unemployment system was written in Fortran.
Oh wow.
I can sort of imagine that sort of stuff takes a lot of string manipulation, and Fortran is not really great at that.
Right.
I would have thought COBOL, but
no.
Okay.
Yeah, my first language that I ever started with was BASIC, QBasic.
Yeah, a lot of people got started on that. It was a sad day for programming when PCs no longer came with BASIC pre-installed.
Apparently, there is a revival of a group trying to do a QBasic clone called QB64. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I see the point.
I think more nostalgia.
Yeah, right. If you want to get children into programming, then Snap and I forget. Snap, and there is one that was an MIT product or something, and the other one is a free clone of it, and Snap is one of the two. So it's one of these graphic block-based languages. Scratch, yes, absolutely. So that's what I would use for really young children, and after that, Python is probably a lot better than BASIC.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And the interesting thing on Python, I don't know if anybody knows this, there's a program for iOS called Pythonista. It's on the iPhone and iPad, and it lets you write Python code on iOS devices.
Okay.
They even have their own UI system where you can build native apps with Pythonista, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, importing libraries that are not included, you can do it. It's just difficult, but
So Taylor, what's your aim for this group? And what's been decided in the 45 minutes before I joined?
Yeah, no problem. So I'll just quickly introduce myself again. So my name is Taylor Arndt, and I am one of the organizers. We also have my boyfriend, Michael. So we are organizing this together, and we did talk a lot about our intentions and basically that this is kind of a fun, casual group for programming where people could learn and also we can, teach them, we can get taught by others, and just kind of a fun place to talk programming. And eventually we will probably have, hopefully, in-person meetups as well where we can all get together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just joined the Discord.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Michael, do you want to go ahead and admit him?
I will admit people after the meetup.
Okay, and yes, we will have this. We'll have all the resources sent as well to the Meetup chat and the YouTube as well when the video comes out. So.
Yep, all of our sessions are recorded, and eventually we do want to have in person, so that will be exciting.
It will be.
And so we're always looking for different venues. The one that came to mind was there's a lot of sitting and meeting spaces at the UT Union. I don't know if that's still a thing, but we're always looking for ideas.
Public libraries often have meeting rooms. Sometimes it can be hard to find an open slot in them, but I've used that in the past.
Right. We have a group that we've gone to that uses the library at 8th, the history library.
Yeah.
So our
I
other
can't guarantee this. Oh, sorry to interrupt you. I can't guarantee this, but my office has a large room called the Bitcoin Commons that we typically use for like meetups and stuff, and we might be able to use that space for a meetup.
Oh, cool.
It's on 6th and Congress. Cool. Yeah.
6th and Congress? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the Littlefield, the building with the Capital One right there.
I feel like there's so many meetups and things that happen at 6th and Congress.
Is that like the Capitol Factory? Is that what that thing is? Or is that somewhere else? I don't know. I've only moved to Austin.
No, this is called it's new thing called the Bitcoin Commons. We just had a programming class in there last week.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Like I said, if you have suggestions, if you want to talk more about it, go ahead and message myself or Michael on Meetup, or you can, we'll give our emails as well, so we can go ahead and coordinate stuff.
We're also, I think it would also be cool to have programming, have food and talk code that kind of looking for catchier, thing for that. But it would be neat to have a bunch of us go out for dinner or lunch and talk about have meetups at those things as well. So that
would be awesome.
As well.
Yeah.
And we'll have more specialized programming meetups in the future, but this was just kind of a get to know folks, talk about some basic things, and it's just really exciting to be able to have these. And our goals in the future are to really we'll have a discussion on which IDEs are the best, and that's an integrated developer environment for folks that are learning. It's basically what software do you use to write software?
And we'll talk about Windows versus Mac, Windows development versus Mac development, those kind of things. We'll talk about accessibility, because we're something else that maybe you figured out, Victor, maybe you haven't, is that Michael and I are both legally blind. And so accessibility is super important. By day, I'm an accessibility engineer for this great company called Accessible 360, where basically we help companies and stuff make their websites compliant and accessible for everyone. And so accessibility is also very top of mind for us. And so we'll also have meetups about accessibility as well, and how to, make sure that your code is accessible and how to make sure that you can include all users.
But at the same time, we won't push it down everybody's throats.
No, we will not, because that's what a lot of people like to do. But we'll just kind of give an informal introduction, be like, hey, here's what you do, and, this is what we'll, that way you'll understand kind of how to include people.
Right. I've seen people deal with a screen reader. It's fascinating, but you probably still need to have a really good memory for what's where on your screen. But yeah.
Well, so Taylor, explain to the group how so to preface this, Python, if people don't know, is based on indentation.
Yeah, I can actually do a demo too, Michael.
Yeah, hang on just a minute though. So Python is based on indentation. It's how it looks. And, Python is a very visual-based language. So one of the things for blind users is, how do you know that there's indentation or how far something's indented? And Taylor uses Visual Studio Code, and she can even demonstrate how she figures out how much her code is indented or where it needs to be indented to. So it's really pretty neat. So you want to do that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do a demo. I'm just slowing my voiceover speech down because it's very fast, because that's something else about screen reader users, is that we use our speech very fast because we listen to it day in and day out, and that helps us to be as productive as like what our peers would be, right? So if we can listen to it at the same speed, maybe someone can read it and vice versa. So I slowed my speech down. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You are going to hear my voiceover, so you'll actually get to hear what a screen reader sounds like. So if you guys have never heard of that before, you guys can hear it. And I'm going to actually open up a Python program. I'm just going to make something real quick where you guys can hear how the indentation sounds. So just give me a second. And whoops. Let me go ahead and share the screen. I'm just going to make sure that we're good to go here. Open up a terminal and share my sound. Okay. Here we go. Oops, I guess it didn't share the screen. Okay. All right.
Also keep in mind, she's just using her keyboard. She, as a screen reader user, she does not use the mouse at all.
Nope. All right. And I also have my Parallels VM open, which that's how I run Windows, because that's obviously another part of my job is I have to run Windows. So that was always a fun adventure getting set up, but that's a whole other thing. But let me just, there we go.
In system dialog, content is empty.
So that is what VoiceOver sounds like. So it's the built-in screen reader, because Michael and I are both Mac fans at this point. We've got so much Apple tech around the apartment. It's crazy. Oh yeah, and I forgot we had 2 HomePods. But, so let me go ahead. I've got my terminal open, and what I'm going to do for this demo is I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it demo, or I'm just going to call it screen reader demo. And basically, I'm just going to show you guys how it sounds. So let me go ahead and go to my
Parallels
terminal.
desktop, Windows 11.
And that's all of my windows
terminal.
open.
DAY at Taylor-Arns-MacBook-Pro documents %.
So that's the Mac terminal. And then, so I'm just going to do mkdir.
MK. Dear.
I'm just going to call it SR demo.
SR. DEO. DAY at Taylor-Arns-MacBook-Pro documents %.
So it reads out everything that it's being said on the screen. Let me go ahead and maximize my window.
Full screen.
There we go.
Space.
That way, hopefully, it'll be more visible. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my directory. So something you notice that I do a lot is I describe what I'm doing, right? I describe what I'm doing so that everyone can follow. And if you have watched the YouTube channel before, that's something I do a lot in my videos as well, as describe every step, because that's something that if you can't see what's going on, you need to be able to understand it. And so that's kind of why I'm so descriptive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my
DAY at
CD. I'm just going to tab complete, so SR.
Demo / DAY at Taylor.
Then I'm going to open this in my code editor, so VS Code. And I'm going to do code period. And that will simply open up the current folder in my VS Code instance. Now, code space. You have to make sure you have a space and then period. So code,
code period. New line. DAY at Taylor-Arns-MacBook.
Okay.
Space with applications code and zoom.us.
And now we are in VS Code, folks. So the next thing we have to do is I'm going to create a new file. I'm just going to press Command N.
Untitled 1.
And I'm going to press Command S. Now there is a special screen reader mode for VS Code, which will allow it to work better with assistive technology. And it basically helps to optimize it so that it will read a lot better. Now it's gotten a lot better than it used to be. It used to be very bad with Systems Technology, but VS Code, thanks to the great Microsoft team, they've made it extremely great. So that's awesome. So I'm going to backspace here and delete everything.
Selection deleted.
And I'm just going to simply type in demo.py.
Demo.py.
That way I don't have to go through those little boxes saying I want the Python and I want this and I want that. I could just literally press enter here.
Demo.py. Edit text.
And sure enough, we've got our file. Now, what I'm going to do...
Participants can now see your screen.
...is I'm going to apparently learn from Zoom that participants can see my screen. That's a very long delay. But back to what I was saying. I'm going to now press tab. And you guys are going to hear what happened. So if I press tab...
Edit text.
You heard that little tone, right? I have an extension called Indent Report, and basically what it does is it makes the indentations tones. And so that way you can hear if the indentation changes. So what we're going to actually do is I'm going to make a simple program that's going to demonstrate the purpose of this and show you guys what will happen. So if, for example, you've got your if statement, right? So in Python, your if underneath of that has a code block and it's under, it's indented. You're going to have the indentation, it'll read out, a tone, and then as there's more indents, it will get higher. So if I press tab again, it sounds like, more high, and then tab.
Info.
And of course, VS Code wants to read notification. And it so keeps going and going and going. It gets higher pitch each time. So now I'm going to actually type up a program. I'm just going to get rid of all this space. And I'm just going to type it in a program that will check to see if, actually I'll check to see if this is equal. So I'm just going to make a number. Actually, I'm just going to make a name variable. So I'm just going to say name equals Taylor.
A, not, equals.
Quotation mark, because this is a string.
T,
Taylor.
R, quotation mark.
And it filled it in for me.
New line.
I'm going to press enter. And I'm just going to say if name.
Not selected. Closing. Not selected. Closing menu. Not selected, non-local, not selected, N, name.
It reads
name
out
to code point not selected. Name to code point not selected. 2 of 38.
So these are all the suggestions that VS Code gives you.
Name tuple not selected. Name to code point name not selected. 1 of demo.py closing menu equals name equal
Taylor.
T A T R
Okay.
R Taylor.
Now
Quotation
I need to make
mark.
sure that I
Quotation
close
mark.
that. And I do colon. And then watch this, it goes higher. Because it indented. Because remember, anything underneath of this if statement is going to be indented because it's a code block. So now you could hear it, it's higher. So what I'm going to actually type in now is say print
P T,
which is a function.
Print. Asterisk.
Basically that will allow me to print something to the screen. And I'm going to say your name.
Your.
I don't know, I'm just making up something really random. Is Taylor.
R Taylor.
I don't know.
Right parenthesis.
And then I'm going to do another line. And the reason I'm going to do another line, I'm going to do another print statement, is because you'll hear that these two print statements are on the same level. So it won't actually make a different sound. So let me just make another one and say print.
Print not select. Asterisk.
Left parenthesis quotation mark. This is on
D
same.
E V E L L level. Print. This is on the same level. E L quotation right parenthesis.
And then that's on the same level. So now, if I play this back or I watch and see what this sounds like, let me go all the way to the top of the file. Let me delete this other line because it's not needed. And you notice it goes back to the other tone. It goes back to the previous. If I press backspace, it will de-indent. So let's go ahead and see how this sounds.
Print if name equals Taylor. If name equals Taylor.
So name equals Taylor.
has entered the waiting room.
Awesome. Well, let's try that again, folks. Michael, if you wouldn't mind admitting them, that would be great while I'm doing this demo. Okay. So let me go ahead and try that again, folks. So, you know what?
Azuzi has joined the meeting. Audio submenu.
Let me go back to my screen.
Code space with application.
Michael, are you still here?
Oops. Yes, I'm still here, and welcome to our new participant. We are just doing a Python demo and also showing how to do screen readers with Python. We are both legally blind, so we're just kind of doing a short demo.
Yep. So let's go ahead and do some more of this demo, and then we can talk more about other things. So let me try that again.
Name equals Taylor.
Name equals Taylor.
If name equals Taylor, print, your name is Taylor.
You heard that subtle tone, right? You heard that subtle tone. That indicated that indentation has started. So that's 4 spaces. And now if I go down arrow.
Print, this is on the same level.
You notice it doesn't make another sound.
Annotation, zoom.
It does not make another sound. Now why is that? Because again, it's on the same level as the line previously. So it will only make a different sound if the indentation changes, right? Because it's saying that, hey, these statements are associated with each other. And it helps me, because this is a indentation-based language, it helps me to be able to understand how my code is related, because I can hear the tones and it helps me to be able to understand it. So let me just run this program for the heck of it. I'm just going to go back to my terminal.
Terminal.
I'm going to do Python 3.
Python. Space 3.
Demo.
DEO.py. New DAY at Taylor-on/MacBook
Pro
senior demo
save my program
code.
First.
Demo.py.
Command S.
Zoom.us. Annotation. Zoom. System dialog.
Apparently I've got the terminal my
Zoom.
way.
In annotation. Zoom.
Okay, let me get out of this
Zoom.us. Parallels desktop. Windows 11. Finder. Terminal.
This terminal's in my way. Okay, hold on. VoiceOver kind of froze for there a second, so let me get back.
Terminal.
And here we go.
TAY. Your name is Taylor. This is on the same level. DAY at Taylor-on/MacBook Pro senior demo %.
There you go. So now it read that is how that works. So that's kind of how indentation works, folks. This is a very brief demo of how I use Python as a screen reader user and in terms of VS Code, but this is a very accessible solution in terms of, if you want to know like how I program or how Michael has a lot more sites, so he can use like magnification. But in terms of using screen readers, this is how I program. So hopefully that gave you guys a good demo. I'm going to go ahead and stop this screen share now, and we can go ahead and see what else people have to talk about. So let me stop this. If I can figure
Visual
out
Studio
where.
Zoom.us. Zoom.us.
But hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. And hopefully it made sense.
It did. Very interesting with the pitches.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad that really helped, and I think we learn something new from each other every day. So hopefully.
Yeah, and one of the neat things, Visual Studio Code. I don't know if folks have heard of that. It's very useful for extending. At its roots, it's just a text editor. That's all it is. But it can be so much more by just adding extensions. And I use it for building. I use it for my day job. I use it for building the application that I work on for the company I work for, and I use it on a daily basis. I use it to write Python for side projects, and so it's a great text editor, and it's not exactly what they would call an IDE, but it's pretty close.
Yep.
As far as what it can do.
Pretty close.
So do you guys have any other thoughts, questions, or things you would like to talk about? Because, we could talk for hours about this stuff. So
I know. And I see we do have a new member, Michael, so maybe we could let them introduce themselves if they'd like to.
Yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself and talk about what you're interested in about programming, or if you've programmed for a while. So that is up to you. It's totally optional.
Yep, you could just go ahead and unmute if you would like to.
If you'd like.
Yep.
But I think this has been, great so far. And
yes,
we're always feel free to tell us how we could do better, how we can, make these meetups more engaging for you guys. And, yes, we planned this, we organized it, but we want it to be a very interactive event, and that's why we did this. So
if you guys have ideas or you guys want to present something to the group, go ahead and message us on Meetup, or when you say Michael, or get a hold of us.
Yeah, feel free to get a hold of us anytime. Message us on Meetup and
Discord.
Submit topics like what you guys want to talk about, and those kind of things.
And I'm hoping eventually we can have a website. That'd be great. I think Michael and I want to make it in Django or something. I don't know, but.
Well, I think actually we should allow that to be something that the whole group works on, because I think that would be a neat programming project.
Well, Michael, explain how that would work then, since this is your can of worms that you opened. How do you want this to work?
So there are several ways we could do that. If we want to, we could talk about it at different events. We eventually would like this, we organize the meetup, but we want community involvement. So, we could build it in whatever platform we vote on. I think that'd be kind of fun. And then we would use Git source control to manage that.
GitHub.
Yep.
Yep.
But Git in general.
Yeah.
But there's so many different ways, and all of these things that we talk about. We talk about the programming languages and getting started, but there's so many more things, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, that are involved, as in source control, version control, making sure your code is written correctly, and dependencies and things like that. So there's so much to it. And like I talked about at the beginning, a good resource is LinkedIn Learning. I've used that for over 12 years for programming, or 10 years now for iOS. So it's just, where, learning the information and having support. We talk about having support groups for a lot of different topics. Programming is no different, and having a group where you could go to ask questions is always important. And, there's a lot of them on Meetup. There's a lot of them in different places, but I kind of feel like a lot of them are really, really big. So, we want to be big one day, but we want a place where we could have discussions about programming. And, our Discord is a good place once I add everybody in. If you have questions, or, you can read the chats that have already been there.
Or if you're stuck on something, or maybe you're trying to figure out, an exercise in one of your courses and it's not working, anything. Go ahead and post it in our Discord.
Yep. Like right now, one of the things me and Taylor are working on is building a decent looking graphical interface using Python. I know Python's not usually the first language known for doing that, but it's just kind of interesting to see what's out there that lets you do that. And, Taylor uses a screen reader. So the requirements is that graphical interface has to work with a screen reader. And that's, believe it or not, something that happens a lot, is things will or will not work. So depending on the library. So.
But yeah, anyone have any thoughts so far? This has been awesome. I don't know about you, Michael, but this has been great.
Yeah, it's been great talking to folks about this kind of stuff.
Any thought? Let's see. How are we doing on time?
It's still 8:19, so.
Yeah, but I need to sign off. So.
No problem.
So we're glad you stopped by.
And fun meeting you, and I'm on the Discord, and I'll hear it when you schedule another meetup meeting.
All right. Excellent.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts? Again, you can do that. Yeah, you can go unmute. Like I said, we've got a pretty small group.
Yeah, if you guys would like to unmute, if you have any thoughts or questions. And it'd be interesting to know, think about, your what you want to do with code and things that are interesting with programming. Also, and one thing I failed to mention, one easy way to get started with programming is if you have an iPad. There's a great app called Swift Playgrounds.
There is.
And you can get started as far as building, you can run through little games and things like that and get started learning to code, all the way up through building an entire iOS, like an iPhone or iPad app using the iPad. You can do that now. which is really impressive. And they have all the documentation and information on how to do that in the Swift Playgrounds app. And it's completely free if you have an iPad.
And accessible. Yes, we're going to be sending the recorded video. It'll actually be on YouTube. So once it's out, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw it in the Meetup group. And that way y'all can see it. So even if you couldn't attend, that way you guys can see it. So we will post it on the YouTube channel. I should say a YouTube channel because we've got tons of them. But we will post it on the YouTube channel. And that way you guys can be able to see the full recording of tonight's Meetup. And any of our Meetups, frankly.
And we'll put the YouTube channel on our Meetup group page.
Say what, Michael?
We'll put the YouTube channel on the Meetup page.
Yes. Yep.
So if you guys have any thoughts or anything you want to talk about, feel free to unmute and just, talk about anything.
Or if you have topic ideas or just anything related to code, go ahead and unmute and we can talk about it as a group.
Yep. We were just so surprised at the number of folks that joined our Meetup on the page. It was awesome.
I know we had like 59 members or something, and man, I didn't know how far Meetup promoted my group because like we had people. It got all the way out to like San Antonio, and even that's not very far, but it got all the way over the place. So it just didn't. It went way beyond Austin that they promoted.
We got a question in chat. What would you recommend for somebody who's beginning Python? And LinkedIn Learning, like I said before, is great. There's free code camp,
YouTube,
Codecademy, but also just go and Pythonista for iOS is great if you want to start there.
Possibly our YouTube channel, Michael, maybe? I don't know.
YouTube, our YouTube channel, Taylor does some neat little starter programs.
Yep.
There's some really cool stuff out there, but I would just recommend, on LinkedIn Learning, there's Python Essential Training, which I'm taking right now. Great course. The teacher is great. So $40 a month for all of their courses. So. Yep.
Or you could probably get it through library as well.
Library. You do not get credit on your LinkedIn account if you do it through the library.
Say what, Michael?
You do not get credit on your LinkedIn account.
No, you do not.
Because if you do LinkedIn Learning through your LinkedIn account and pay the monthly cost, you do get credit on your LinkedIn account for completing courses, which is neat.
Yes, we are going to be scheduling another meeting. We're going to do these every week. So in fact, once we're done with this one, probably tomorrow, I'm going to schedule the next one. So if you guys have topic ideas, feel free to message us. If you're not on the Discord, feel free to do that as well. We're probably going to talk about, who knows, we're going to come up with a topic, but it'll be the same time, same place next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
And if you don't have the Discord because you came in later,
go ahead and there you go. This is kind of our place to communicate because a lot of meetups like Slack, but we like Discord because it's kind of more fun and informal. So.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of folks on our Programming for Everyone Discord that have been there since before the meetup. Before we did the meetup. So there's a lot of advanced or experienced programmers that could actually answer good questions there as well.
And we'll be posting all these resources again on the Meetup page as well, the Discord, just everything that way you guys can see it. It'll be in the YouTube description and that kind of thing. So, Any other questions?
Excuse me.
Any other thoughts, Michael?
No, I think it's about 8:30 if we want to go ahead and call it a night.
Yeah, we could do that. Folks, this has been absolutely awesome. I'm super excited we're doing this. And this has just been really great. So if you guys want to get a hold of us, feel free and invite your friends. If you got programmer friends or you got people who might be interested, maybe you're doing like a study group, trying to learn, just invite your friends because we're always looking for people who want to talk programming. Because I know Michael and I can talk about it for hours. But this has been awesome, folks. And yeah, so I think that we're going to go ahead and end it unless anyone has any questions. But this has been great. I'm super excited. And we'll see you guys next week at 7 p.m. Central on Thursday.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys later. Oh, okay. We got another question. Michael?
Nope. Cool.
Sorry about that. I guess I didn't realize that you were chatting them. Yeah. I'm just gonna wait for her to, or wait for them. Blech. Words are hard. I guess at almost 8:30 at night. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for them to finish chatting their message, and we'll see what we got. Did you see the message yet, Michael, or is it still coming through?
Still coming through. They're working on it.
Could we please work in a project to let us know how it's done with Python?
Sure. We actually did a demo earlier on.
Yep.
And that will be on the YouTube. And that was just a basic. I think you may have joined right when we were finishing that up.
Yep.
But also on our YouTube channel, we have several projects showing. Taylor did an actual game, guess the number game.
Yep.
And it's a great learning experience. So.
And I go live a lot. So folks, it may be annoying, but I'm going to post a lot. I go live a lot on the Techopolis YouTube channel, which is Michael and I's channel. And I go live just talking about Python and doing Python because it's honestly my way of relaxing. While Michael can go, play the Xbox and go try to, shoot some enemies, different games. I like to just do Python streams and coding. So if you guys ever want to join, I make live things on stream where I mess with different things. So I go live a lot. So be in the Discord because I will definitely be saying, hey, I'm going live, or I might even post it to the Meetup as well. So it's just another place because I will go live a lot, especially on the weekends, especially when it's cold out. Like it is. So, that's just something else too.
Yep. And I think it'd be neat for us to do some comparison streams where we compare the difference between Python, Node.js, and a few others. So I think that would be neat.
What would that be, Michael? Voiceover is like
I'm saying we might do some streams where we may compare writing code in Python, Node.js, and other languages in the same stream so people can get an example of what each thing looks like.
Well, yeah, if we want to do that this weekend, it's going to be cold Saturday, so who knows?
That'll be neat. All right.
Any more questions? I just don't want to cut anyone off like I almost did. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and hope to see you back next week.
All right. Thank you as well, y'all. Talk to you all next week. Bye, everyone. Let me stop recording.